Hey everybody, welcome to the channel guys. Like, comment, and subscribe. And today we're going to talk about this year's Rumble. I will include one kickoff match and I won't, from the kickoff show, and I won't include the Cruiserweight match. But, I'm going to have some gameplay on the screen. I am not playing that. I'm just going to have it on the screen while I am going to talk about this year's Rumble. Doing a little review. So let's jump right into this. First up, we got a kickoff match. Sasha Banks versus Nia Jax. As you probably already know, Nia Jax won. Now, a couple things on this. Sasha, I think Nia Jax is just not as good as they're trying to make her. They're just trying to make her this bulldoze powerhouse, but I don't really think she's that good. She reminds me of Tamina Snuka and the Great Khali, if you remember the Great Khali. Because to me, Tamina and the Great Khali were clumsy. And that's how I feel about Nia Jax. And so when they put one of the main women from Raw, other than Bayley and Charlotte, and put her in like downgrade her into the kickoff show and undercards and whatnot, I think they're overlooking her, in other words. And so, I think they need to put her up. They don't necessarily need to put her in the title picture. They can, like, put her in the against Bayley or something, in a rivalry with Bayley, which brings me into my next section on this match. WWE's talking about turning Sasha Banks heel, which would make sense, because Sasha Banks' character is more of a heelish character to begin with. Turning her heel to feud with the huggable one, Bayley. Now, I would actually like that feud. I know who my dad would root for. My dad over in, wherever. My dad would, root for Bayley, and I would root for Sasha, because I am definitely biased towards Sasha, but in this video, I'm not going to be biased towards anyone in this. Now, brings me into my next match. Charlotte versus Bayley for the WWE Women's Championship. Now, let's see. Charlotte won that one. I agree with the decision of having Charlotte win, because very rarely does someone, except Paige. If you look at Paige, for example, that's very rare does this happen, where you win the Divas or Women's Championship, and now it's Women's, but it used to be Divas Championship. They very rarely win it the very first time they challenge the champion. And then you get people very rarely, like Paige, for example, won the Divas title from AJ Lee in her very first match on the main roster. So, we got those little things that happen. Anyway, so I agree with the decision. I don't like Charlotte. I hate Charlotte. I despise Charlotte. But I said I wasn't going to be biased, so I think it was a good idea to have Charlotte win. Another thing. I think Charlotte was a good idea to win also because, okay, if you watch NXT, you know there's a few people that you want to see come up. You have your Ty Dillingers, or your Shinsuke Nakamura's, or your Bobby Roodes, or your DIYs, or your Authors of Pain, or the Revivals, or whatever. You have those guys, and you have Asuka. Now, Asuka, there's three ways they could go about this. She could lose her title to one of the women that suck, which is all of them. Except Nikki Cage. Nikki Cage is actually not bad. But you could have Asuka lose her title fair and square, and then have her debut on Raw and attack or confront Charlotte shortly after. Or you could have a storyline injury. Like, it's not a real injury. It's just storyline-wise. And then have her return later down the road, because she'd have to vacate her title, and then come up and confront or attack Charlotte on the main roster. There we go. I'm sorry, guys. Anyway. What was I saying? Okay, so they could have her return, have a storyline injury, and return, and then attack her, confront Charlotte, because she'd have to vacate her title, or the last way they could go about it is do what they did with Kevin Owens. If you remember, Kevin Owens debuted on the main roster, surprisingly, and as a surprise, and started a rivalry with the man on your screen, John Cena. And what they could do with Asuka is do the exact same thing. Have her debut with her NXT Women's title. They don't have to do exactly what they did with Kevin Owens, because Kevin Owens lost his title right after he debuted to Finn Balor. They could do that and have her lose it to Nikki Cage or Billie Kay or Peyton Royce or whoever. But I don't think they have to. They could have her lose it later down the road. They don't have to make her lose it right away like they did with Kevin Owens. Anyway, brings me to my next match. Kevin Owens versus Roman Reigns for the WWE Universal Championship with Chris Jericho in a shark cage, locked in a shark cage. Kevin Owens won that match, and there's only one thing that I need to talk about on this match. Because there's only one thing that really needs to be said, other than Chris Jericho throwing brass knuckles down from the cage, but I'm not going to talk about that. This is what I'm going to talk about. I think that I hate Roman Reigns as much as the next guy. There's a handful of you that don't. There's a handful of you that do agree with me. But I do dislike him too. I think having Braun Strowman attacking Roman Reigns is not a smart idea, considering what the WWE is trying to do with Roman Reigns. Because that's the reason Roman lost, was because of Braun Strowman, and considering they're trying to make him the next John Cena of this company, trying to make him the next face for when Cena retires. That's what they're trying to do with him. But then yet they have Braun Strowman come out and attack Roman Reigns and make him lose. So I don't know where WWE is going with that whole situation. We'll find out in the near future. Anyway, the next match is what's on your screen currently, AJ Styles versus John Cena for the WWE World Championship. John Cena tied Ric Flair for 16 World Champion that night. Now, quick before we get into that, when I think of the 2017 Royal Rumble, I don't think of the traditional Royal Rumble match. I don't. I think of the phenomenal AJ Styles versus the face that runs the place, John Cena. That's what I think of the Royal Rumble, this year's Royal Rumble, when I think, that's what I think of this year's Royal Rumble. When I think of this year's Royal Rumble, I think of that match in particular. None of the matches, not even the Royal Rumble itself, is better than that match. Phenomenal match. No pun intended. But they both put on an amazing show. They both did things that I haven't seen in a wrestling ring before, let alone AJ and Cena doing those moves. Anyway, next, John Cena tying Ric Flair to be the 16-time world champion was an amazing moment. Although people don't like Cena, I thought it was really cool anyway. It was really cool. I like Cena. Anyway. I don't really want this to happen. On the last thing on this match, I don't really want this to happen, but it'd be interesting to see. And WWE's talking about turning Cena heel to get more views for SmackDown Live. Which, if you watch the Rumble, you would notice that Cena seemed a little bit more heelish and brought out his ruthless aggression side, which we haven't seen since Kane returned in 2012 and had a big rivalry with Cena. We haven't seen this since then, but he had a reason to bring out that Ruthless Aggression side then. But against AJ Styles, he had no reason, absolutely no reason to bring out his Ruthless Aggression side. So, I'm just saying, don't be surprised if by Mania or shortly after WrestleMania, Cena turns heel. That would be the most tragic heel turn since Hulk Hogan coming to WCW and turned into Hollywood Hogan. Anyway, now the actual Royal Rumble match. Oh boy, isn't this fun? The Royal Rumble match. The greatest match of the night. Not Randy Orton won. That speaks for itself, doesn't it? But I'm not done. I was disappointed because WWE failed on having surprises in this year's Rumble. They had Ty Dillinger at number 10 though, but that wasn't really a surprise either considering his gimmick is the perfect 10. And he entered the Rumble at number 10. So not really a surprise. But also, I was disappointed that Orton won because right now it's looking like we'll have Cena versus Orton for the 900th effing time. We'll have to give it time though, I guess. We'll have to give it time. I'll give him time. I'll give credit where credit is due. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. We still have the Elimination Chamber, so it may not be Cena versus Orton at Mania. One person I wanted to win was Taker. Wanted to win the Rumble was Taker. For one reason and one reason only. If Cena won the title and Taker won the Rumble and Cena made it through the Chamber, we could have had the dream match between Cena and Taker at Mania. Again, WWE screws up another storyline. Can't get it right. Anyway. Could have had that dream match. I wish Cena would have faced Undertaker before the streak ended by the hands of Brock Lesnar. They missed an opportunity with those two this year and previous years. They've had so many opportunities to make this match happen, and yes, I am well aware that they faced each other before, but it was early on in Cena's career, and it wasn't at WrestleMania when Undertaker had his streak, or even now it would still be a dream match, even since Undertaker doesn't have a streak. Anyway, another thing that didn't make sense to me was having this big build-up for the Beast Incarnate Brock Lesnar, the Phenom The Undertaker, and the Icon Goldberg to be in the Rumble, and what didn't make sense is they had this big build-up, and each of them got eliminated in like 30 seconds to a minute. And don't even get me started on Undertaker's elimination. Another thing, after this Rumble, instead of having Cena versus Taker, which they could have done, they could have AJ Styles win at the Chamber and have AJ Styles versus Randy Orton. We haven't seen that match yet, and a lot of people want to see it. And what we also could do, they could go that route, or they could go this route. They could have Cena versus Orton versus Styles at WrestleMania for the title in a triple threat match. And last but not least, the last thing we're going to talk about on the Royal Rumble is these are a list of surprises I wanted in the Rumble other than Ty Dillinger. Other than Ty Dillinger. They could have had, this is a long shot, but they still could have had him, CM Punk. Now these aren't long shots, and these are people that most likely will come back or go in. So, we got Kenny Omega, Shinsuke Nakamura, Bobby Roode, the Demon King, Finn Balor, and Samoa Joe. Which Samoa Joe debuted the night after or the Royal Rumble on Raw, and attacked and seriously, this isn't just storyline, seriously re-injured the knee of Seth Rollins. I know it's not storyline because he posted a picture on Twitter of his knee. Injured the knee of Seth Rollins. So, which sucks for 3 reasons. 2 of these reasons are for mainly why it sucks for the fans. Number 1, most people love Seth Rollins, including myself. Number 2, we won't get the match WWE was most likely trying to set up between Triple H and Seth Rollins at WrestleMania. And number 3, this is the one that sucks for Seth Rollins. It sucks for us too, but it sucks for Seth Rollins more than anyone. Seth will miss out on his second WrestleMania in a row. In a row. That's crazy. He had to sit out on last WrestleMania and watch Roman Reigns versus Triple H, which was the worst match ever. But I think they topped it by this year's Rumble. Anyway, okay, that's my review, guys, of this year's Royal Rumble. I will do one for every pay-per-view. If you want me to do reviews on Raw and SmackDown Live every week, comment down below. Tell me what you think about this year's Rumble. And do me a favor, super kick that like button, comment down below, and subscribe if for some reason you haven't already. And I will see you guys later.